This is Chapter 6 of Black Elk Speaks by John G. Neihardt. The chapter is called High Horses Courting. This chapter is a story that an old man tells Black Elk while they're out fishing. You know, in the old days, it was not so very easy to get a girl when you wanted to be married. Sometimes it was hard work for a young man, and he had to stand a great deal. Say I am a young man, and I have seen a young girl who looks so beautiful to me that I feel all sick when I think about her. I cannot just go and tell her about it and then get married if she is willing. I have to be a very sneaky fellow to talk to her at all, and after I have managed to talk to her, that is only the beginning. Probably for a long time I have been feeling sick about a certain girl because I love her so much, but she will not even look at me, and her parents keep a good watch over her. But I keep feeling worse and worse all the time, so maybe I sneak up to her teepee in the dark and wait until she comes out. Maybe I just wait there all night and don't get any sleep at all, and she does not come out. Then I feel sicker than ever about her. Maybe I hide in the brush by the spring where she sometimes goes to get water. And when she comes by, if nobody is looking, then I jump out and hold her and just make her listen to me. If she likes me too, I can tell from the way that she acts, for she is very bashful and maybe will not say a word or even look at me the first time. So I let her go, and then maybe I sneak around until I can see her father alone, and I tell him how many horses I can give him for this beautiful girl, and by now I am feeling so sick that maybe I would give him all the horses in the world if I had them. Well, this young man I am telling about was called High Horse, and there was a girl in the village who looked so beautiful to him that he was just sick all over from thinking about her so much, and he was getting sicker all the time. The girl was very shy, and her parents thought a great deal of her because they were not young any more, and this was the only child they had. So they watched her all day long, and they fixed it so that she would be safe all night too when they were asleep. They thought so much of her that they had made a rawhide bed for her to sleep in, and after they knew that High Horse was sneaking around after her, they took rawhide thongs and tied the girl in bed at night so that nobody could steal her when they were asleep, for they were not sure but that their girl might really want to be stolen. Well, after High Horse had been sneaking around a good while and hiding and waiting for the girl and getting sicker all the time, he finally caught her alone and made her talk to him. Then he found out that she liked him maybe a little. Of course this did not make him feel well. It made him sicker than ever, but now he felt as brave as a bison bull, and so he went right to her father and said he loved the girl so much that he would give 2 good horses for her, one of them young and the other one not so very old. But the old man just waved his hand, meaning for High Horse to go away and quit talking foolishness like that. High Horse was feeling sicker than ever about it, but there was another young fellow who said he would loan High Horse 2 ponies, and when he got some more horses, why, he could just give them back for the ones he had borrowed. Then High Horse went back to the old man and said he would give 4 horses for the girl, 2 of them young and the other 2 not hardly old at all. But the old man just waved his hand and would not say anything at all. So High Horse sneaked around until he could talk to the girl again, and he asked her to run away with him. He told her he thought he would just fall over and die if she did not. But she said she would not do that. She wanted to be bought like a fine woman. You see, she thought a great deal of herself, too. That made High Horse feel so very sick that he could not eat a bite, and he went around with his head hanging down, and though he might just fall down and die any time. Red Deer was another young fellow, and he and High Horse were great comrades, always doing things together. Red Deer saw how High Horse was acting, and he said, "Cousin, what is the matter? Are you sick in the belly? You look as though you were going to die." Then High Horse told Red Deer how it was, and he said that he thought he could not stay alive much longer if he could not marry the girl pretty quick. Red Deer thought a while about it, and then he said, "Cousin, I have a plan, and if you are man enough to do as I tell you, then everything will be all right. She will not run away with you, or she will run away with you. Her old man will not take 4 horses, and 4 horses are all you can get. You must steal her and run away with her. Then after a while you can come back and the old man cannot do anything because she will be your woman. Probably she wants you to steal her anyway." So they planned what High Horse had to do, and he said he loved the girl so much that he was man enough to do anything Red Deer or anybody else could think of. So this is what they did. That night late they sneaked up to the girl's tepee and waited until it sounded inside as though the old man and the old woman and the girl were sound asleep. Then High Horse crawled under the tepee with a knife. He had to cut the rawhide thongs first, and then Red Deer, who was pulling up the stakes around the side of the tepee, was going to help drag the girl outside and gag her. After that, High Horse could put her across his pony in front of him and hurry out of there and be happy all the rest of his life. When High Horse had crawled inside, he felt so nervous that he could hear his heart drumming, and it seemed so loud he felt sure it would waken the old folks. But it did not, and after a while he began cutting the thongs. Every time he cut one it made a pop nearly scared him to death. But he was getting along all right, and all the thongs were cut down as far as the girl's thighs, when he became so nervous that his knife slipped and stuck the girl. She gave a big loud yell. Then the old folks jumped up and yelled too. By this time High Horse was outside, and he and Red Deer were running away like antelope. The old man and some other people chased the young men, but they got away in the dark, and nobody knew who it was. Well, if you ever wanted a beautiful girl, you will know how sick High Horse was. It was very bad the way he felt, and it looked as though he would starve even if they did not drop over dead sometime soon. Red Deer kept thinking about this, and after a few days he went to High Horse and said, "Cousin, take courage. I have another plan, and I am sure if you are man enough we can steal her this time." And High Horse said, "I'm man enough to do anything anybody can think up, if I can only get that girl." So this is what they did. They went away from the village alone, and Red Deer made High Horse strip naked. Then he painted High Horse solid white all over, and after that he painted black stripes all over the white and put black rings around High Horse's eyes. High Horse looked terrible. He looked so terrible that when Red Deer was through painting and took a good look at what he had done, he said it scared even him a little. Now, Red Deer said, if you get caught again, anybody will be so scared they will think you are a bad spirit and will be afraid to chase you. So when the night was getting old and everybody was sound asleep, they sneaked back to the girl's tepee. High Horse crawled in with his knife as before, and Red Deer waited outside, ready to drag that girl and gag her when High Horse had all the thongs cut. High Horse crept up by the girl's bed and began cutting at the thongs, but he kept thinking, "If they see me, they will shoot me because I look so terrible." The girl was restless and kept squirming around the bed, and when a thong was cut, it popped. So High Horse worked very slowly and carefully. But he must have made some noise, for suddenly the old woman awoke and said to her old man, "Old man, wake up. There is somebody in this tepee." But the old man was sleepy and didn't want to be bothered. He said, "Of course there is somebody in this tepee. Go to sleep and don't bother me." Then he snored some more. But High Horse was so scared by now that he lay very still and as flat to the ground as he could. Now, you see, he had not been sleeping very well for a long time because he was so sick about the girl. And while he was lying there waiting for the old woman to snore, he just forgot everything, even how beautiful the girl was. Red Deer, who was lying outside ready to do his part, wondered and wondered what had happened in there. But he did not dare call out to High Horse. After a while the day began to break, and Red Deer had to leave with the 2 ponies he had staked there for his comrade and girl, or somebody would see him. So he left. Now when it was getting light in the tepee, the girl awoke, and the first thing she saw was a terrible animal, all white with black stripes on it, lying asleep beside her bed. So she screamed, and then the old woman screamed, and the old man yelled. High Horse jumped up, scared almost to death, and he nearly knocked the tepee down getting out of there. People were coming running from all over the village with guns and bows and axes, and everybody was yelling. By now High Horse was running so fast that he hardly touched the ground at all, and he looked so terrible that the people fled from him and let him run. Some braves wanted to shoot at him, but the others said he might be some sacred being, and it would bring bad trouble to kill him. High Horse made for the river that was near, and in among the brush he found a hollow tree and dived into it. After a while some braves came there, and he could hear them saying that it was some bad spirit that had come out of the water and gone back in again. That morning the people were ordered to break camp and move away from there. So they did, while High Horse was hiding in his hollow tree. Now Red Deer had been watching all of this from his own tepee and trying to look as though he were as much surprised and scared as all the others. So when the camp moved, he sneaked back to where he had seen his comrade disappear. When he was down there in the brush, he called, and High Horse answered, because he knew his friend's voice. They washed off the paint from High Horse, and sat down on the river bank to talk about their troubles. High Horse said never would go back to the village as long as he lived, and he did not care what happened to him now. He said he was going to go on the warpath all by himself. Red Deer said, "No, cousin, you are not going on the warpath alone, because I am going with you." So Red Deer got everything ready, and at night they started out on the warpath all alone. After several days they came to a crow camp just about sundown, and when it was dark they sneaked up to where the crow horses were grazing, killed the horse guard, who was not thinking about enemies, because he thought all the Lakotas were far away, and drove off about 100 horses. They got a big start because all the crow horses stampeded, and it was probably morning before the crow warriors could catch any horses to ride. Red Deer and High Horse fled with their herd 3 days and nights before they reached the village of their people. Then they drove the whole herd right into the village and up in front of the girl's tepee. The old man was there, and High Horse called out to him and asked if he thought maybe that would be enough horses for his girl. The old man did not wave away that time. It was not the horses that he wanted. What he wanted was a son who was a real man and good for something. So High Horse got his girl after all, and I think he deserved her. That was Chapter 6 of Black Elk Speaks by John G. Neihardt. Aho.